What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by the CEO of PFL, Peter Murray, on the line today. A lovely Good Friday here. Peter, I hope you're having a great day. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, son. Great to be here. Thank you.
Very good. The new season starts next Thursday, April 4th, and I know myself, as someone who's covered the last few seasons, that I'm really looking forward to it. With all the new fighters obviously coming over from Bellator and maybe the rosters kind of joining, how much are you looking forward to it? And what's new in the new season? What are the fans going to look forward to?
Well, hey, the 2024 season is going to be great. You know, the fact that we have, on the heels of acquiring Bellator, we have some great fighters from Bellator are going to take on the challenge of the PFL season format, which is no joke. You know, as we call it, the toughest test in MMA, and really up levels the overall roster. And we believe the competition. So it's a great new narrative, challenge, and opportunity. What I think is an absolute elevated season, based on the roster.
What's going to look different this year? Is there anything in terms of, obviously the commentary we heard from Kenny Florian last week, and he said he won't be coming back this year. In terms of the commentary, in terms of the production and the look, what's going to look different this season?
Well, no, we have a great team. We love Kenny, and we have Sean O'Connell, who's back, one of the best play-by-plays in the sport. Analyst, Dan Hardy, he'll be in the mix, and we have some other new talent that's on the horizon. So it'll be a great look, great broadcast. Smart Cage will be activated, and it's going to be a great season. And this year in the U.S., 9 of the events, the regular season, that's, as you know, 6 events. Then we have 3 playoff events, and then we have the championship. And we're going to tour throughout the U.S., individual markets. And the championship will absolutely be in a international destination. We haven't announced it yet, but we're looking forward to sharing that news very soon.
In future, obviously you have the PFL Europe, which I want to ask you about in a second, and you're going to the Middle East as well. But for the global season, is that something you want to take global in the future? Obviously, I'm here in Ireland. Is it something we could see maybe a trio of events in Europe or other places in the world, or is that something that's going to stick to America for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, it's quite possible. I mean, we're really starting with the World Championship this year as an opportunity to, deliver, events outside the U.S. tied to the global season. But in years to come, it's a possibility. But, from professional fighting league, hello?
Hi, Peter. Sorry, you broke up there for a second. Do I have you?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah. That's okay. I'll move on if that's okay, and we can get on to the next question.
Sure.
I want to ask you about the merger. Obviously, PFL and Bellator. It's been a big story in MMA for the last 18 months nearly. How long did you know about this merger? How long was this going on behind the scenes, and how did negotiations go, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, as it relates to the acquisition of Bellator, I would say we had our eyes on it for a couple of years, and then in 2011, we really focused on making the acquisition, getting the deal done.
The merger. How long did you know about it, and how did it go?
Yeah, what I would tell you, it was a couple of years in the making, but we really brought focus to it late last year. And we were, really excited to get it done. It was a great deal for us to acquire such a storied franchise in Bellator, the brand, the archive, and then most importantly, the fighters and those contracts. So, it's a privilege to be able to support those fighters' journeys. We have a broad portfolio where Bellator fighters, not only in the Bellator Champion Series, but fighters in the mix in a big way in the PFL Global season. And, we have our Super Fights division. So, those Bellator fighters now have a real home, and a real home that's positioned well to grow and support them.
One thing I think, and obviously it's going to naturally be this. We're only 3 months in to the new partnership. Is I feel from the fans there's a little bit of a frustration that we won't know which fighters are where, and as I said earlier, which commentary team is going to be doing which event and all of this. Is that something you have planned to kind of cordon off in the next few months, that there'll be more certainty, everyone will kind of know where they are, and obviously the fighters have felt that a little bit as well, but is that something, is a more certainty something you plan in the next few months?
Well, yeah, I mean, hey, I think that was just noise in the initial part of the acquisition, but all the fighters are set. The fighters that are from Bellator are confirmed and already in their, competing and in their camps relative to the Bellator Champion Series. We already announced the 8 events, as well as, the top of the card, and, all the fighters have their information. So, we're well organized now. That was just a little noise in the beginning of the acquisition. And, candidly, unlike many organizations, we have a full schedule for the year. Our PFL global season, the regular season, the playoffs, the championships, the dates are already baked, the locations and the cities, the venues, everything's locked. There's a format, there's a system, and, we're really proud. Our fighters know who they're fighting, when they're fighting, what they're fighting for. So we'll continue with that fighter's first mission and getting ahead of it, not only for the fighters, but for the fans.
A big issue for a lot of MMA promotions is signing fighters and getting new fighters. That's obviously no longer an issue for the PFL and Bellator. You've an absolute plethora of fighters now. Do you have enough cards? Even though you have an awful lot of cards, obviously we don't have the Challenger Series either this year, and I know you've said previously that's going to be coming back again. Is there enough cards to keep all the fighters satisfied and keep the fighters fighting 3 to 4 times a year? Or is that something you're going to look to expand as well?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure every fighter fights 3 or 4 times a year, but I mean, we're proud that this year we'll have 30 global events. Next year we'll have 40 events, and the following year 50 events. That includes our international league expansion efforts that'll drive that growth. But super fights will expand. Our global season will continue to, be a cornerstone of what we do, and we will continue to reimagine Bellator, including the Champion Series, and tweaking the format, as well as a number of events going forward. So we have a global platform, and we are a global leader in the sport. So we feel good about not only the roster, but our ability to give them fights against top competition and on major consistently and on major media platforms that are distributed globally.
Are PFL still in for the biggest names? Because I feel like PFL have done a great job in the last few years. I'm a massive fan of PFL Europe. I think Dan Hardy's done a fantastic job there of bringing in talent, and I'm here in Ireland as well. The Irish talent is fantastic there. But let's say, someone like an Israel Adesanya comes available, someone like a Conor McGregor becomes available. Will the PFL/Bellator, I suppose, be in to sign those people? Is that still a strategy of yours?
I mean, professional fighters league, we're in every conversation. In particular, top ranked, top fighters who are ranked in the top 10 when free agency is in play. PFL and now with Bellator, it's a major conversation. So, of course, we will continue to not only develop future champions through our system and stars, but we'll be pretty thoughtful in how we selectively sign top-ranked fighters to come into the mix, in particular within our pay-per-view division.
100%. So I'm very interested in that kind of strategy. I'm a big soccer fan here. I follow Man United, and their strategy for a while was to sign maybe the older, more experienced players, and then they've changed strategy to kind of go with the younger players and build them up and build the team that way. For the PFL, obviously there's going to be a bit of both, but is that a defined strategy of yours that you are steadfast to keeping to for the younger fighters, to get them while they're young, to build them up through the PFL? And is that one of the core kind of tenets of what the PFL wants to do?
Well, yeah, it's a combination of things. I mean, we have a system within the PFL, in particular with our international league model, PFL Europe, right? PFL MENA launching this year. Next year, we'll launch PFL Africa and PFL Australia. In 2026, we'll launch PFL Asia and PFL LATAM. And, those leagues are, the mission there is to, sign and develop the very best regional fighters throughout those territories and countries, giving them an opportunity to, compete and take on the PFL signature season format and become regional champions, and then give those regional champions a pathway to PFL Global, the PFL Global season. And for the very top fighters, over time, some can ascend and make their way to the pay-per-view division. So we're very much creating a system, a pathway for fighters around the world who are at different stages of their career, and an opportunity to have a long-standing career.
You spoke about the pay-per-view division there, and obviously we know about Francis Ngannou and Jake Paul being, two of the top guys that you want to have in that position, I suppose, this year and towards the next year. Have you any idea when the two of those guys will be fighting? Can you have any provide us with any update on those?
Yeah, no, we're very excited about our Super Fights division, the pay-per-view platform. Obviously, both Jake Paul and Francis are icons, and really exciting. Francis will return. Yeah, Jake Paul and Francis. So Francis will return this fall, likely in September. He will take on Renan Ferreira. So we're very excited about that, and that's going to be an amazing card overall. And then Jake Paul, he's continuing to be very active, obviously, in the boxing space. The announcement on Netflix with competing against Mike Tyson in the ring, and but in parallel, Jake's very committed to continuing to train in MMA, and we're looking forward to his plans to enter the sport. So more to come on those details.
Do you think that will be more maybe 2025, or could it be 2024?
Yeah, anything can happen this year, but we'll be sharing those details shortly.
Last two questions. I really appreciate the time, Peter. PFL Europe, it's changed a little bit this year in that there's a few more experienced fighters coming in, and I've heard a few people saying, and I've even put out there myself, that there could be like possibly two PFL Europes for like the younger fighters and for the more established fighters in the future. Is that also something you will look to expand to? Because the amount of fighters you have on the roster now and the amount of talent that's looking to come to PFL, I suppose, is huge. Is that something maybe you think about? And I know we spoke about more cards earlier on, but more cards in individual areas as well.
No, I mean, PFL Europe, it's in its second season. I mean, last year was the inaugural season. It was an absolute success. And, just think, last year, our first season, our first playoff event, our first time in France, and we staged the playoff in Paris. It was the most viewed MMA event in the sport in French television history. And then in our second season, we went back to Paris to launch PFL Europe this year, and at Accor Arena, 16,000 fans. It was the most attended live event in France in the sport. So we're breaking records. The brand of PFL Europe is resonating throughout the world, key markets, including France. And it just illustrates the demand. And with respect to the quality of fighters, they're amazing, top fighters throughout Europe who, candidly hope is their strategy. And so, it's our role to come in and essentially sign the very best within the region, within PFL Europe. So, what fans can expect year over year, the quality and caliber of fighters will absolutely elevate. And that's the design, of these leagues. We don't envision two PFL Europe. There'll be one major powerhouse, PFL Europe. And so you'll see that roster. You'll see the quality of competition to, up level year over year.
And last thing I want to ask, and I appreciate the time, Nathan Kelly announced last week that he's out of contract now. Is there any news and an update for him? And will PFL be looking to re-sign him? Obviously, he headlined the card in Dublin not too long ago, and he got a great reception there. So is he someone PFL will be looking to re-sign?
Yeah. Dan Hardy and the team, they're dealing with those conversations, and I think it's a great opportunity for Nate to continue his journey. So more to come.
Lovely. Peter, I really appreciate the time. Thank you very much. And people can tune in, obviously, Thursday, April 4th to the brand new PFL season. And I for one, am very much looking forward to it. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I apologize for the spotty cell service. Appreciate you working with me. That's okay. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the holiday weekend.
No problem. Thank you.